Bismillah. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon, everyone. For grade 4 especially. So, regarding to our schedule next week, because we are going to have quiz from unit 3.1 until 3.2, specifically in learner's book, page 49 until page 57. Okay, so I'm going to record this explanation so you can repeat this explanation on your own to support your study. Okay, so let's start. So our topic is about materials. And okay, let's wait. Okay, so the materials related with matter. Okay, so matter is everything around us. So everything around us is called matter. In bahasa Indonesia, it is called materi. Okay, so semuanya yang ada di sekitar kita, including ourselves, is a matter. Okay, we are a part of the matter. Okay, so let's see later the size of this matter. Okay, so before we start, let's review about the state of matter. Okay, there are 3 states of matter: solid, liquid, and gas. Okay, and the example of solid are desk, wall, bucket. Okay, and the example of liquid is water, milk, syrup, and the other things. And the example of gas is the air, oxygen, and smoke. Okay, so let's go on to the 3.1 topic 3.1 about materials, substances, and particles. So what is materials? But before that, so let me mention the objective. Okay, the first one: find out the difference between materials, substances, and particles. Show that particles move all the time. Learn that the particle model of matter describes the differences between substances that are solids, liquids, and gases. Describe the particles model for solids and liquids. Play a game to demonstrate how solids and liquids are different. Okay, so before we go to the definition, let's look around you. Okay, so the first picture, you can see the first picture here, there is some windows. Okay, and these windows are object. Okay, these windows are object. Okay, and these objects is made up of materials. Okay, and actually there are many materials makes up this object. Okay, such as wood, and then glass, and the other thing. Okay, maybe curtains or something else, or the wall as well. Okay, but we take one materials, which is a glass. Okay, so this object is made up of materials, or this windows is made up of a glass. Okay, and let's continue. And this glass, or the materials, okay, this materials is made up of substances. Okay, so this glass is made up of the sand and limestone and soda ash. Okay, they are mixed together and heated up. Okay, they're mixed together and then heated up, and they will form a liquid glass. Okay, the glass but in liquid state. Okay, and then shaping rollers, this is the shaping rollers, and they will be shaped, okay, according to the need. Okay, but the point is that these materials, or the glass, is made up of different substances such as sand, limestone, and soda ash. And we know that sand and limestones are solid, and soda ash is a liquid. Okay, so substances can be solid, liquid, or gas. Okay, for the video later you can watch it on your own. Okay, I provide 2 videos about making glass. Okay, but you can watch on your own the video. Okay, so in order to investigate or to observe substances, okay, I ask you to prepare some salt, some sugar and salt, okay, and then put them on your palm, okay, and you can see the grains of sugar and salt. It's very small. Those are substances, okay. How about particles? Okay, particles is much more smaller than that, okay, and you know that sugar and salt is a solid, okay, because you can feel them. Oh, this is hard, and then the shape is compact and dense, okay. Okay, so if we make summary about what materials, substances, particles. So materials make up an object, okay. So if you see any object around you, those objects are made up of materials, okay. And most materials are mixtures of different substances, okay. And what is substances? A substance is a pure type of solid, liquid, or gas. Substances are made of particles. Okay. So a substance is a pure type of liquid, solid, or gas. So it means one substance, all of them are completely solid, or completely gas, or completely liquid. Okay. How about materials? Materials are mixtures of different substances. It can be the mixture of solid, liquid, and gas together, but substances is only one type of the state. All of them are completely solid, liquid, or gas. Okay. And these substances are made up of particles, which is all matter or substances, okay, that make up, yes, this all matter or substances are made of particles. And the particles is a very small part or bit of something. You can imagine if you have a tissue, okay, you can tear, okay, you can tear up, you can divide the tissue into 2 parts, 3 parts, 4 parts, and then later you will find, if you keep dividing the part of the tissue, you will find the very little part of the tissue, okay. But particles are much more smaller than that. We cannot even see the particles with naked eyes. We need some kind of microscope or the other instrument to see the particles. Okay, so this is the video about, let's zoom our hair, which is, oh, our hair actually it's made up of particles, okay, which is very, very small. The size of the particles are very small. Okay, let's continue. Later you can watch the video, rewatch the video on your own. Okay, so this is the water particles. Water particles are made up of two hydrogen element and one oxygen element. And how do we describe the particles? Okay, it's a very tiny part of the substance. Okay, very tiny part of the of something. It's particles. Okay. So, how do you describe particles? Take a piece of tissue or paper and try to cut it into very small pieces until the smallest size that you can cut. How small is the pieces if you compare to a sugar granule? And a particle is much smaller than that. Okay. Okay, so this is if we try, if yes, this pictures I made it to how to make you easier, okay, to figure how you figure out, oh, what is matter. Okay, so the pink one is the matter. Okay, so matter include everything around us is the matter, and this matter is made up of many objects, okay, which is the purple one, and this object is made up of many materials, the blue one, okay, and materials are made up of substances. Okay, I made one, two, three shape of substances represent solid, liquid, and gas. And these substances is made up of particles, which is very small part of substances. Okay, so you can play the word wall as the practice. And then let's go on to the next one is the particles model of matter. Okay, so particles are very small. This is why scientists use a model to figure out their structure and movement. Two important things about particles are particles have spaces between them. They're not completely stick to each other, but there are spaces between them. And the particles are always moving even though we can't see their movement. Okay. Even the solid one, if there is a statement that solid particle cannot move at all, it's wrong. Okay, because the particles are always moving. This is the discoveries of the scientists, okay, their invention, and they stated that the particles are always moving even though we cannot see their movement. Okay. Okay. So you still remember about the solid, liquid, and gas that we were talking at the first slide, right? Okay. So these are how the particles of solid are arranged. Okay, so they are arranged in a regular pattern. You can see it's regular pattern. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 particles in horizontal and vertical direction, and then the spaces between them, the spaces are same for each space. Okay, and they also tightly packed. Okay, so they almost cannot move, but they can move, but not much. I mean, the movement is very little. If we compare to liquid, okay, this is liquid particles, and their spaces are somehow not similar to each other. There are further space or bigger space. There are smaller space. Okay, so the spaces between the liquid particles are different, and also they are not packed tightly, and they're not in a regular shape as well, or regular arrangement, as well as the gas. Okay, but the gas has bigger space. Okay, their position, the particles are far apart. Okay, let's go on. Okay, so solid particles are packed tightly together in a regular pattern. Okay, and it has the same amount of space between each particles. And in solid, the spaces between each particles are very small and not allow them to move around. That's why when you put the rock into a different container, it cannot change its shape based on the shape of the container, because the spaces between the particles are very small and not allow them to move around. Okay, and solid particles have a fixed position. Okay, they cannot slide past one another like the liquid, because they have a fixed position. Okay, how about liquid? The liquid particles are close together. They are not, it's quite close actually if we compare to the gas. They're not packed in a regular pattern, okay, and the pattern is not clear. I mean, it's not fixed, okay. It has a bigger yet different distance of space between some particles, okay, so the spaces are different. This allows the particle to slide past one another and change places. That's why, this is the reason why when you pour the liquid into different containers, the liquids will take the shape of the container, because the particles can slide past one another. They don't have any fixed shape, so that's why they can change. The particles can change their places. Okay. Okay, so this experiment, if you still remember, we try to prove that liquid. Wait, okay. We try to prove that liquid are spreading. Okay, the particles of liquid are not packed tightly, so they can spread. Okay, you can see from the food coloring that you drop to the water. Okay, so they spread. Okay, and this is the gas. The gas particles are far from each other. They are freely spreading, and it has a far or big space between some particles. And this allows the particles to move freely and always change their position. So the gas doesn't have any fixed shape. Okay. But for this topic, we are not going to talk more about gas. We are only focusing on the liquid and solid. Okay, and okay, this is the particles model. Okay, the link for the particles model later you can explore on your own. Okay, and this is the list of the assignment. Okay, okay, you can complete the workbook page 32 and continue to how do solids and liquids behave. So the objective is use the particle model to explain how solids and liquids behave, ask a question to investigate, choose which equipment to use in an investigation, measure time, collect and record measurement in a table, and describe a pattern in results. We're not going to do this complicated investigation as you have done. Okay, we were doing the investigation but in a simpler way. Draw pictures of observations and write a conclusion about observation. Okay, we have ever done this. I ask you to draw the shape of the liquids. Describe and explain how some solids can behave like liquids. We have done this. Think about how we can use patterns in results in other investigation. Say how we can make sure our measurements are reliable. Think about why we use standard units of measurement. Okay. So let's have investigation based on your learner's book, page 55. But before, you can try to do this. I mean, true or false on learner's book, page 54. We have ever discussed about this as well. Okay. And this is solids can behave like liquids. Okay, so I ask you to can solid behave like liquid? I ask you to prepare a glass of water, put coloring, a small stone, and a plate, and you have to compare when you put the small stone or rocks into different container and when you pour the water into different container. Okay, so and I ask you to draw, okay, the shape of the water and the shape of the stone in different containers. Okay, and this is the changing shape of liquid. Okay, when you pour the water into different container, what would the shape be? Okay, 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 you can answer the question. And the conclusion is liquid particles are easy to spread. For example, if you pour the liquid into a plate, it will spread. Okay, it will just spread over the surface of the plate. Liquid takes on the shape of its container. Okay, you have proven this as well. Okay, and these are the topic from your learner's book, page 56. Okay, we can pour a liquid. Can we pour a solid? Well, solids are hard and cannot change their shape because their particles are packed tightly together. This means that we cannot pour solids like we can pour liquids. But some solids, such as sand, flour, salt, and sugar, are similar to liquids. We can pour them, and they take the shape of the container they are in because they are very small. The solids are sometimes called powders. Okay, remember, they are called powders. The solids that have small grains, okay, they're called powders. And powders are made up of lots of very tiny pieces of grains, and there is air between the grains, which means that the grains have space to move into. This lets the grain flow past one another like the particles in a liquid. But each grain of the powder is still made up of millions of particles that are too small for us to see. So, if you have ever observed the grains of the sugar, flour, salt, or sand, they are small, right? It's the substance are small, but particles are much smaller than that. Okay, we have ever done this. Okay, and the detail, I have asked you to complete for the one who are not doing it at school. I have asked you to complete the assignment through Class Dojo. Okay, and these are the questions. Okay, so the grains. Okay, we used sugar, salt, flour, and sand. Okay, and the question is which one is the smoothest? Okay, the smoothest one is the flour. Why? Because the grains of flour is very small. Okay, yes, it's very small. That's why the flour is the smoothest one. Okay. Okay, so the conclusion is when you try to pour the solids into different container, they will take the shape of the container and they can pass through the funnel, okay, the small funnel, so it means that solids can flow. Okay, and you can complete your workbook, page 33 to 38, okay, for exercise before we are having our quiz. Okay. So this is the practice link. I have attached the practice link to your class dojo, okay, and also in the slides that I have uploaded as well, okay. If you don't want to do it via quizzes, you can download the paper and print them out, and then you can scratch on that paper. Okay, that's all. Thank you very much, everyone. I hope this video will help you. Thank you very much. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.